Alright, this is problems 8.08 through 8.12 of end of chapter problems from chapter 8 of Corporate Finance, a practical approach published by the CFA Institute. Since the same case material is there for all 5 of the questions, I'm just going to make one big video. You can fast forward if you want to just look at one particular piece. Alright, we have this table of information on 4 companies, A, B, C, and D. We have credit sales for 2001 plus the average receivables balance, and then the same information for 2000x2, and we have some industry numbers. Alright, which company has the highest number of days of receivables for 2000x1? Alright, so days of inventory, or I'm sorry, days of receivables for 2000x1. The days of receivables I'll just go ahead and do it for the next year too, as long as I got this up here. Alright, so the days of receivables would be the receivables balance divided by 1 day's sales. So 73 for that company. And if I calculate it for the next year, it's 73 again. I'm going to take the formatting off. And then I can just copy this down. And the question 8.08 is which company has the highest number of days of receivables for 2000x1. And the highest would be company B with 146 days. Alright, so I just yank these numbers down. 73 days, 146, and roughly 117. So company B is the highest there. Which company has the lowest accounts receivable turnover for 2000x2? Alright, the accounts receivable turnover is essentially sales divided by accounts receivable. But since I've already done the calculation here, you can compute that directly from the days of receivables. Just take it's 365 divided by days of receivables will give you the turnover. Alright, we're looking for the lowest one in 2000x2. And we're looking at companies A, B, and C. You wonder why there's a D in here. Alright, so A, B, and C. Alright, but we would have already known that because there's a relationship. The days of receivables is essentially the reciprocal of the turnover ratio. So accounts receivable turnover is essentially sales divided by accounts receivable. The days of receivable is accounts receivable divided by sales divided by 365. Okay? So essentially they're the reciprocal of each other. Whichever company has the highest days of receivables is also going to have the lowest turnover. Alright, days of receivables is how long it takes you to collect, and turnover is how many times you collect everything during the year. All right, the industry average receivables collection either increased, decreased, or didn't change. All right, since I've already computed all these up here, I can simply copy this down. And the question is, the industry average receivables collection period. All right, days of receivables decreased from 2000X1 to 2000X2. All right, moving on to problem 8.11. Which company reduced the average time it took to collect on accounts receivable? Well, that's the days of receivables. So which company reduced the average amount of time? And we've got A, B, and C again. A went 73 days to 73 days, no change. Company B went 146 down to 136, and C increased. So that's an increase, no change, and that's a decrease. And that's what we were looking for, which company decreased its average time to collect. All right. And then 8.12, Gonzalez, the analyst, determined Company A had an operating cycle of 100 days. All right, so the days of inventory plus days of receivables equals the operating cycle. Days of inventory plus days of receivables equals, I know that the days of receivables in 2002 for Company A is 73, and the problem tells me that the operating cycle is 100 days. Well, that must mean that the days of inventory must be 23 days, or 27 days, right? Okay, and Company D had an operating cycle of 145 days. Their days of receivables was 121.66, so their days of inventory would have been about 23. This means that, now we're asked, is Company D's inventory turnover is less than that of A? Okay, so inventory turnover would be 365 divided by days of inventory, and we see that Company D's inventory turnover is actually faster. It's greater. They do it faster. So that's not it. Company D's inventory turnover is greater than Company A's. Yes, it turns it over faster. And then the cash conversion, the question C asks about the cash conversion cycle being shorter. Since we don't know anything about the days of payables, we can't say. All right, but what I can say is that since I've calculated the inventory turnover, if the days of inventory is shorter, that means that it sits on the shelf shorter. It means that you sell it that many more times during the year, and that's what the turnover is.